Hello, I just got done watching the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and it was mostly thoroughly enjoyable. It's about a living goddess of sorts, and she basically has the ability to wish things into existence, and hilarious antics ensue. Now, the interesting twist of this all is that she doesn't know that she's a living goddess who can make things real with her mind, and the things that do know that she is a living goddess are trying to keep it a secret from her, because obviously that could come with some very horrible consequences with her having that knowledge. Overall, the series was really enjoyable. It was a very fresh take on the whole science fiction genre. It wasn't dark, it was very lighthearted, and it was mostly overall very enjoyable. It's also interesting and worth noting that originally it aired in 2006, around 14 episodes, and then in 2009 it got another 14 episode extension. Although, the 2009 extension is kind of questionable because of this series of episodes called The Endless Eight. And basically, the premise of The Endless Eight is the summer vacation has been stuck in a time loop where, when the last day of summer ends, and then the next day is the first day of summer, and it just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating. And no one has any memory of this except a robot alien android. So, and the characters find out occasionally, randomly, through her and interaction with her. And overall, it, it was enjoyable, but it didn't need to be 8 episodes. As I said, those 8 episodes are from 2009, and in 2009 it only got 14 extra episodes, which means more than half of it were the same episode. And it's not like with the Endless Eight you get new information each episode. You don't. The first episode is just them not knowing that it's a loop, and then the next episode is them finding out it's a loop, and then basically episodes 3 through 7 in the Endless Eight are just episode 2, where they find out that the android has been telling them that they are stuck in a time loop. And then in episode 8 they finally break it. But, that's not good writing or good storytelling and things like that. And I was looking online, trying to find out why did they do that. And really, the only answer I could find were in forums where they were debating the subject of whether or not it was proper for them to do that. And there were so many people defending it, and it really kind of, I don't know, bothered me. Because basically, what bothered me about it was I was debating the credibility of the creators. Instead, I should be debating the quality of the story and the storytelling. And it's like all I can think about is that they couldn't afford to hire a writer for, I don't know. I mean, really, the only episodes in the Endless Eight you need to see are the first, the second, and the eighth. Uh, you know, that's basically that is 5 episodes of storytelling that the audience could have had, and it's just me questioning whether or not they were just being cheap and just changing people's clothes for those 5 episodes. I mean, it's really bothersome, and it's like you don't even get new information until about 20 minutes into each episode. That's the part where they find out about them being stuck in a time loop. Anyway, so there's that going on. And there are better moments in the anime. I mean, overall, it's pretty great. It's just you need to skip the Endless Eight, or at least 5 episodes out of it. And it's just, it was really bothersome. And it was, I was kind of disappointed over it because in this 2009 part, basically what they do is they cut up the original 14 episodes from 2006, and basically I believe it's like about 1 through 10 of 2006 are the first 10 episodes, and then they're interspliced, and then the last 3 episodes are also from 2006. So basically, 2009 is just happening in the middle of the story that we already know. And I don't know, it was kind of bothersome ish. I don't know. It was just very kind of like losing its own voice. It started off very intriguing with the whole premise of, interspace dimension beings, and then I really wonder if it's just that the writer kind of lost their own idea of what do I do to make this interesting in a sort of sci-fi time skip alien sort of way. And so that's really how I feel about it all. I mean, overall, I do enjoy it, and I do plan on watching the actual movie, although I'm kind of worried about that, but that's just due to my own fear of anime movies. They tend not to be very good in terms of storytelling. But, who knows? Maybe this show and series will break the streak. But no, really, I'm just stuck over the Endless Eight. And I was reading online that, like, the Endless Eight story arc only took up 2 chapters in the manga. So, 2 chapters has been stuck or stretched out into 8 episodes. And it's just very kind of bothersome. And I really do wonder why they did that. One debate online was that it was to show what the android robot went through because her memory did not get wiped out in the restarting or resetting of summer each time, and that it was supposed to make the audience feel for her. And that's a fine assumption, except she's not the main character. You're not supposed to be emoting with her. You get the idea of how horrible it is, for the first 20 minutes of each of those episodes. And, if you just did it 3 times, I think the audience would get it. But the real point is, or at least the main character is Keon. That's who the audience is supposed to be sympathizing with. And because he obviously is the main character, which when I first started watching kind of was a disappointment to me because I was hoping for a strong central female character lead. And, no, she's not. She's just, kind of a sort of, well, I guess you could say Keon is a decoy protagonist, where he doesn't necessarily affect the storyline very much, but the audience sees it through his line, or his eyes. And so that was kind of disappointing. I really would have liked it more if we had actually learned something about Haruhi, as opposed to, other than just she's a living god and anything she says becomes real. And so then she just becomes like this kind of, sort of faraway figure that the audience never really gets a grasp of. And maybe that's what is intended, but at the same time it's kind of just very sort of, what's the word, distant, and it doesn't make you get a firm grasp. And I'm all for ambiguous storytelling. I kind of like some of the things about that, where with the time traveler, Miruki, I believe her name is. I'm totally mispronouncing it. It's discussed that her superiors are not very happy with her, but yet the future version of her comes in at various times and says, never tell the past me about seeing me. And so it's implied in a sense that her superiors is her future self. And that's an interesting thing. Although it's never stated outright, it's at least ambiguously mentioned. And, that's great. That is good ambiguous storytelling. But to have, your main protagonist be a faraway distant thing that the audience never really connects with is sort of poor storytelling in a sense. But it serves its purpose in telling these sorts of sci-fi stories through the eyes of just a completely normal, powerless human. So overall, it is a great series. You just need to skip 5 of the endless 8 episodes, and it is really enjoyable, especially the first season, the 2006 season, because those episodes are not in chronological order. They happen in various episodic natures, and I think that's interesting at least. Again, there were lots of creative risks taken with the story, and some of them didn't pan out, but I think most of them did. It's just that the Endless Eight episode really left a bad taste in my mouth. Another comment I saw about it was that good art evokes emotion. And I really hate that argument because even if you are feeling apathetic towards something, apathy is an emotion. And if you hate something, if you hate an ending, or if you hate a story, that is also an emotion, but that doesn't make it good or even artistic, because you will always have an emotion. I mean, rocks have emotion. Their only emotion is apathy, but that is an emotion in a sense. So, I mean, you can't say that, good art evokes emotion because that's just sort of a vague statement. As we all know, anything that's vague enough is always true. So, overall, I hope if you start watching it, I hope you enjoy it. And really, that's the only thing I can say is for the endless 8 episodes, just watch the what is it first, second, and then imagine the next 5 episodes being the second one repeated, and then finally the eighth of the endless 8. Oh, and then you finally get your happy ending. All right. I hope you have a great evening. Later.